And we begin with tonight's big story. Telecoms giant MTN Ghana has launched its initial public offering aimed at raising 3.47 billion cedis. The offer, which begins today, is expected to end on July 31, with a possible listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange on September 5, 2018. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta launched the IPO in Accra.
Government will keenly support you in what you do. Without technology, we can make it. We were in Korea last week, and it's really clear that it's about the human capital that we have to build and technology to support that. So I think really your responsibility as a corporate citizen will be, how do you apply this technology and make sure that we break, this poverty gap. I mean, we can use technology to ensure that the education matrix and the pedagogy changes so that everybody has that access and opportunity, and it can be done. We've already started speaking with people like the Khan Academy and Facebook, etc. I think we should join to really transform education. And once we transform our people, you know that the sky is the limit. But these are all things that we can find cures to without getting very political about them. And I think it's incumbent on the telcos to be able to provide solutions if somebody is really worried about data protection, etc. Because we need to do that. Facebook is doing that. Everybody's beginning to find a solution to. But the issue of monitoring is important. This is not the first place that is going to be done. And we should, marshal ourselves as a people of a certain direction to make sure that the nation, moves ahead. So on this occasion, I have this great privilege to formally launch the IPO of MTN. I wish to congratulate all of you for opening the door of opportunity to Ghanaians to share in the risks and successes of this great company. I really wish you well and look forward to a very successful launch. Thank you very much.
Well, the finance minister later promised efforts by government to get other multinationals to list on the stock market.
That's pervasive and cuts across, and that I think is going to draw in a lot more Ghanaians to participate on the exchange, which is important, because I think the concept of investing and building a fortune for the future is good, and getting more people invested in the capital markets also helps with attracting foreign investors to believe that there's liquidity in our market, and therefore they will participate.
One critical thing is about the waivers. For most of these multinationals and even other local companies, they want to go into the market, but a challenge is about the requirements and the other issues about taxes as well. What's the level of commitment that you want to give to these companies who want to come onto the market?
But I'm not sure that there's a disincentive to come to the market. I mean, there's a tax break which is there, and that's important. I'm not sure. I think really companies like MTN listing always begins to broaden the base of the exchange, gives more legitimacy, and people who were either cynical or unsure are now going to take a second look at it, and we will encourage that to happen.
Well, MTN Ghana CEO Ebenezer Asante has also been speaking to us about this historic IPO. Listen.
Behind this IPO is a huge marketing and distribution vehicle that we've lined up to ensure that we reach all districts, we reach all regions in the shortest possible time, and we will do so in a cycle. So on the average, for most of the key towns, we would want to have permanent representation, service center, connect stores, and all the banks, participating banks, as well as dedicated setups that we also have. And as you are also aware, with the mobile money channel, our customers everywhere can subscribe. I don't want to add too much to the excitement already generated, but I'm aware even during the launch process, a lot of people started buying shares using mobile money, and within a minute you are done. So mobile money, we believe, will be the key channel to drive the retail penetration, in addition to the other traditional channels that we'll use, the banks, our own service centers, the connect stores, distributor shops, etc., etc.
The regulatory requirement, or one would say the commitment, is to ensure that every Ghanaian takes a bite of this offer. The reality, some have said that looking at a time period, whether every Ghanaian will have the opportunity to be having that disposable income to take a bite of this IPO.
I stand to be corrected, but perhaps this may be one of the IPOs with the longest duration to complete. We are starting today. We'll finish by the end of July 31st at 5 p.m. on the dot. The other advantage, apart from the time that it will afford our customers and many other would-be investors to invest, is also the affordability nature of the shares. It's 75 pesos a share, minimum subscription of 10. So just with 7 CDs, 50 pesos, you are able to buy your lot.
All right, so let's get some more perspective to this. Head of research at Databank, Alex Boahin, he says, despite MTN's intention to offload part of the company's shares for the benefit of Ghanaians, he is not ruling out some foreign participation in the company's IPO.
Yes, certainly, against our initial impression that the 35% that they are offloading is actually exclusively for local investors. But if you go through the prospectus, you actually realize that the IPO is quite open to both local and then foreign investors. I must also add that, however, in terms of allocation, domestic investors or local investors will be given the priority. Once you float the shares, it will be very difficult to monitor who is buying. So the shares will be traded on the secondary market. So unless you put in place systems that will monitor to actually determine those buying, the profile of investors who are buying the shares, whether they are coming from whether they are foreigners or they are Ghanaians.
Now, Alex, there's also this concern that institutional buyers could overwhelm prospective local investors. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yes, that is true. I mean, from where I sit, you could tell that this IPO in particular has generated massive global interest, and we could see more bids coming from foreigners and also institutional. But I must also say, if you look at the amount that they are raising, close to 3.5 billion, that is massive. I mean, if you look at recent IPO that came from ADB, they raised 325 million Ghana cedis, and until now has been the largest IPO in the history of our capital market or our stock market.
Well, away from MTN's listing and Ghana's financial market risks losing its credibility should threats of cybercrime be overlooked. That's according to the first Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, who is urging financial institutions to ensure that the right control measures are adopted to curtail the use of the country's financial system for fraudulent and criminal activities. He was speaking at a forum on financial crime prevention organized by Ghana International Bank.
For those of us here, you've seen the changes and the challenges we are having in the banking landscape and the different dimension. I was telling someone at that time that Ghana has skipped the card era. We're moving from cash to cash light without going through the card technology. And now we're moving into e-payments, and financial crime is critical to that type of environment. It is actually estimated that proceeds of financial crime constitute about up to 5% of total flow of funds throughout the whole world. And when you use 5%, the figure doesn't come home. But maybe if you put it in US dollars, it's between $800 billion US dollars and $2 trillion US dollars of financial crime transactions. And it is also interesting to note that only about 1% of such illicit flows are actually detected, which means the rest of it go through free. And those who are perpetrating this crime are reaping the benefits of such crimes. If you take the upper limit of $2 trillion US dollars and only 1% is detected, you can see how much money is being moved around, which is purely fraud and criminal. Here in Ghana, we are trying to prevent such financial crime activities by collaborating a lot with existing institutions.
New developments in the mining sector we want to report. Mining firm Gold Fields has started implementing its new business model, which allows it to outsource majority of its mining staff. It follows an agreement reached with the union workers after a long disagreement over the implementation of the contract mining program, which resulted in some strikes. Speaking with Joy Business after its 25th anniversary launch, Executive Vice President of Gold Fields Ghana, Alfred Barko, said the workers have withdrawn the case from court, paving way for the implementation of the program. Staff of Gold Fields initially resisted moves by the company to transform its business model from ownership to contract mining due to issues of sustainability faced by the firm. The move was also attributed to the unstable gold price on the international market, which is likely to threaten the mines. Executive Vice President Alfred Barko says Gold Fields successfully commenced contract mining operations in April this year after the union decided to withdraw the case it filed at the High Court, preventing it to go ahead with the model. He noted about 85% of the staff were hired by the outsourced company.
Thankfully, the union have gone to withdraw the matter from court, so I will say the case is over. We have implemented the contractor mining at Tarkwa, and the contractors, as we promised, has actually rehired over 85% of our workforce that were affected. We had a brilliant start to the contractor mining. The first month, which was the April month, was brilliant. We exceeded the budget in terms of production. That tells you that, in fact, site has been calm, the workers has actually received it positively, and everything is going on smoothly.
Alfred Barko dismissed claims that the company intimidated staff during the impasse.
We couldn't intimidate anybody. We believe that we have a business to run, and the business to run is all about sustainability. We didn't actually see the way forward with the previous model because it wasn't sustainable, and therefore the call for changing the model. That question must be directed at the union, but we don't believe that we threaten them in any way or form, because we press it on them that we were doing contractor mining before, and we reviewed the model and we realized that it was actually worth going on a mining, and we've reviewed the model again, and we believe that that is the way to go.
After 25 years of operation, Gold Fields paid $1 billion as dividends to the government, an additional $1.2 billion paid as taxes. Now, the illegal trading of petroleum products and smuggling has resulted in an estimated 1.4 billion cedi revenue loss to the state in 2017. That's according to the industry report released by the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. The report, which looks at developments in the industry for the entire year, indicates the nefarious activities involved evading taxes and other revenues meant for the state, which contributed significantly to revenue leakages. Chief Executive of the Chamber, Senior Hosea, has been explaining in this report.
According to the industry report for 2017, Ghana recorded a significant loss as a result of transfer pricing modules with the bulk oil distributors. The report says the issue of the illegal trade of export products, smuggling and dumping has also resulted in some losses to both the government and the various operators in the petroleum downstream sector. It puts the estimated loss for the year 2017 in taxes and regulatory margins to the state at a whopping 1.4 billion cedis. This indicates a 64.71% increase in revenue loss from the National Petroleum Authority. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors Ghana, Senyu Hosi, believes it is about time the state security operatives intervened to deal with the situation.
I will also indicate that transfer pricing also made the government lose some money of about 148 million, and the smuggling and export dumping 1.4 billion cedis. These are very serious numbers, and it has major implications on the country. It's too much money to lose, and I don't think that it's too difficult for us to find a number of the culprits related to it. So we think that there should be a proper audit into it. We should be able to find and identify where our money is passed and account for them. It's as simple as that. What's been generally missing, like I said, has been the political will. I mean, across the political divide, NDC, MPP, none of them have really shown strong enough political will. You find agencies like the MP, the ministry trying, but to deal with this, it's not just an agency and it's not a regulator and a ministry matter. This is borders on criminality.
National coordinator for the oil marketing companies, Kweku Ajimanduya, has been explaining to Joy Business the impact of these developments on the downstream petroleum sector.
I mean, if you look at the industry used to grow like 3-4% every year. In fact, 2015 was about the best. Since 2015 coming 2016, 2017, we have been going down now. But you see, like 2016, 2017, we lost like 6%. The question is, and if you have 6% loss in this industry, what it means is that there should be scarcity of fuel in certain areas. But here where there were no scarcity, I mean somebody is filling in, and that's the illegal fuel.
So have you investigated it yourself?
Oh, investigated, yes. So we've done a lot of work. Remember last year, 2nd May, we came out with a press conference, and the ministries, the government took it up and was working on them. They did very well. Somewhere along the line, we saw that our volume per retail address was coming up. Until getting to the end of the year, we saw that it was going down again.
The situation is said to be very alarming and suggestive of high-level corruption and tax evasion in the country.
Transport fares are likely to go up this week after government finalizes negotiations with recognized transport unions. Government has been locked in a series of meetings with the umbrella body for the driver unions, GRTCC, the past week. But why are the interested parties optimistic of an increase this time round? Well, there's more in the following report.
Persons with knowledge of the meetings say government is likely to meet the transport operators halfway through in terms of their demands. This is because some of the indicators that influence price adjustments have indeed gone up. The Transport Ministry often looks at cost of spare parts, insurance, the level of inflation rates, the margin of the increase in price of petroleum products over 3 months. However, the challenge now is by what margin government should agree with the Ghana Transport Road Coordinating Council. Sources say they want to be careful about the margin of increase because of the impact on inflation rate and also ensure that it does not negatively impact standard of living. To avert pressure from interest groups over the price increment. Already there are reports some of these groups have increased fares by 10%.
Still in the transport sector, 15 companies have submitted their applications to a joint evaluation committee to be considered for the construction of the Ghana-Burkina Railways interconnectivity project. One company would eventually be selected for the construction of the project at the end of the evaluation process. Now, speaking at the commissioning of the evaluation committee in Accra, the Railways Minister Joe Garte charged members to select a bidder who has both technical capacity and the financial strength to deliver.
Interested companies from Africa and other parts of the world presented their proposals at the commissioning of the Joint Evaluation Committee in Accra. The selected company is expected to fully fund the project through a public-private partnership arrangement.
The financial model that we adopted as a joint committee representing the two countries has always been a build, operate, and transfer. So our understanding and expectation is that everyone here understands our position clearly, and that we are doing this project under the build, operate, and transfer without more.
Minister for Railways Development, Joe Gatti, charged the committee to select a company that has both the technological capacity and financial strength to execute the project.
They must take into account the bidder who has the capacity to finish the project within the shortest possible time, and the bidder who also has the financial capacity. We do not have time for speculators, people who want to come and win the bid and now go and look for the money, or people who have never done a railway project and want to use us as an experiment. We are not ready for that. To the people of Ghana and Burkina Faso, I just want to say that we are very serious about this project. We have started the process of procurement by this step we've taken today, and God willing, it is our hope that within this year we'll be able to reach financial closure and we'll be able to start construction this year.
The committee is expected to finish the evaluation process in 2 months. The Ghana-Ouagadougou Rail project aims to improve the transport and logistics chains on the rail corridor towards accelerating economic growth and for the development of both countries.
Our interview of the day next, and government. All right, we just fixed our government has downplayed concerns that the decision to abrogate its contract with West Blue and all right, we just fixed this mess. We are watching Business Live. Government has downplayed concerns that the decision to abrogate its contract with West Blue Consulting and GCNet may attract some judgment debt. Let's watch that interview with the Deputy Minister of Trade, Carlos Ahenkra.
The most important thing is UNIPAS is certainly going to come to pass. But when that happens, we would call on the termination or the expiry clauses of these contracts of the two big players in the system now. And we'll make sure that there's peace. We are going to ensure that there will not be any judgment debt at all to Ghana in the rollout of UNIPAS. Of course, nobody is going to stop anybody from going to court. It's their right. But remember that going to court first doesn't make you the winner at the end of the day. I must also say that whatever you see or hear around is just on the mere basis that people have emotional attachment to some of these companies when it comes to their very existence. I'm emotionally attached to GC, and I must confess any day. And of course, I won't be surprised if other people are also emotionally attached to West Blue. But the most important thing here to realize is Ghana first. Let us look at how Ghana can be developed. Without over-reliance on import revenue, it is important that we look for ways and means to justify these collections and maximize it to the extent that it will help you and I. Free SHS, free school feeding, NHIS, nursing training allowances. We get all this not from anywhere, but from these taxes that we collect. So if you're able to maximize the collection, that is when we'll be able to develop the nation better.
And that'll be it for tonight's program. Just a reminder, there are more stories on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. You see the day's latest story, including Goldfields optimistic about the future of the company as it marks 25 years in operations. We've got the latest on the MTN listing. That is on our website. Again, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We are back same time tomorrow.